friends, ERIKATESLA here. Welcome back to my channel if you are returning, and if you're new, thank you so much for deciding to click on this video. Today I wanted to chat about the Natasha Denona I Need a Warm palette. As you can see, I have two looks that I'm going to demo for you guys with this palette, and I have some comparisons for you as well. But before we get into all of that, I just want to do some swatches with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to swatch each shade for you so we can take a look at these. So we have this shade Soft Spot, Fancy, and mind you, I'm just going across this like top row here. That is so pretty. It looks almost like a wet shade, you guys. It looks really, really pretty. We have the shade Mellow, the shade Phenomena, which is the duochrome in this palette. We have the shade Ripe. And I'm just gonna swipe that with my thumb just so you guys can see how these shades look. So that's the first row on my medium skin. And one of the things that I've discovered, guys, is that sometimes how something swatches on my skin doesn't always translate to how I can make it work on the eye. Sometimes I go in with some skepticism. I go in with a little bit of skepticism, but let's go into the second row. We have the shade Elm, which is beautiful, very creamy. Snug, which is a coppery shimmer, and I'm going in with like another layer so you can see how that builds up. That's so pretty. Then we have a matte here. We have the shade Vim. Then we have the shade Push. Really pretty. And then we have the shade Fervor, and I'm going back in with my thumb. I'm trying to be efficient here. So we have Fervor. Here's the second row. And we're going to go in with the third row of shades. This is the shade Pep, which is probably the deepest shade in the palette. It's this deeper matte brown shade. It kind of reminds me a little bit of chocolate. Then we have the shade Homey. Now guys, I don't know if when she came up with the name Homey, she meant like being at home homey, or like the context that I know it in. But anyway, it's still a really pretty shade. Then we have the shade Hanker, which is really, really a stunning deep bronze. Like I could see myself using this as like a one and done shade. That looks really nice. And then we have Dynamism. We have the shade Flashover. So this shade Flashover is kind of like a satin. I wouldn't describe it, like when I look at it in a pan, it doesn't look matte, but it's not a shimmer. And it's kind of a different formula than the other shades. But this is the third row. I'm so excited to dig into this palette, guys. She is fresh, she is brand new, and I don't have a plan, but we're gonna make this work. I want to start out with a deeper shade, so I'm gonna start with the shade Pep right here, and I'm gonna go in on the outer V. And I know that this palette is not anything particularly new or groundbreaking, but I think a lot of people are excited about it because Natasha's formula is super easy to work with. And personally, I feel like you cannot go wrong with neutrals. And I really like this as a warm neutral palette just because it's not too warm. Like I feel like the shades are pretty wearable. Like it's on the neutral side of warm, if that makes sense. So I'm going in, this is the shade Pep, and then I'm gonna go in with this shade Vim, which is like a little bit lighter than Pep. It's like a medium brown, and I'm gonna pull that into the crease a little bit here. And it is warm. This is definitely like a warmer shade. It's giving me like milk chocolate vibes. It's really, really pretty, and I'm just blending that out, and I'm using my Sigma E25 brush. This is one of my all-time favorite brushes anytime I see this one on sale, this is one that I would recommend that you guys pick up for sure. It's such a versatile brush. And I'm just going in with my Sigma switch. So when you see me kind of like taking a break off camera here, like I have my Sigma switch and I'm just like brushing off any excess product. And then I want to go in with this shade called Soft Spot right here. And I have a little bit of excess. I'm going to tap that off and I'm going to go in to the inner part of the lid and pull that out here. And so this is coming together super quickly, super easily. And oh my gosh, guys, I'm already really liking it. Blending. And just for reference, I do have the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion on in the original shade. And I'm gonna go in with a shimmer. And oh gosh, this is like always the hardest part for me, but we do have this like really pretty duochrome that we could go in with. But I think I want to use the shade Homey. I wonder if she meant it in the way that I know the context of Homey. But anyway, here's this shimmer Homey. It's so pretty. That is lovely, lovely, lovely. Really, really pretty. And I'm going to take this off and I'm going to go in with a different brush, guys. I'm going to use a pencil brush. This is the Pencil E30 from Sigma, and I'm going to go in with that shade Vim on the bottom lash line here. And I'm kind of just blending and smoking that out a little bit. It's a really beautiful shade, medium brown. Really like that. And going in with my Sigma switch again, I'm going to go in with this shade Fancy. And I'm going to put that on the inner corner, just to give it a little bit of sparkle. And I'm like just touching that up a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and start on the next eye. I'm going to start with a fresh brush here. I'm going in with my What's Up Beauty R103 brush. I really love these. These are goat hair brushes. And I want to make sure that whatever I do, I end up using this duochrome shade in here, Phenomena. So I'm actually going to go in with the shade Fervor. And I'm just going to brush this all over the lid. And this is kind of like a warmer, it's warm. I need a warm. This is giving me like terracotta vibes. And I'm just pulling that up. Because what I like to do with my multi-chromes, I like to start with a matte base layer and then add the multi-chrome on top. So I'm just blending this all over the lid, and then I kind of want to go back in with the shade Pep again and layer that on top for some depth. And these are just really quick looks, guys, just to give you an idea of some of the options with this palette. And I'm really blending, guys. I'm blending. Going in with Pep again. And I'm going to go in with Phenomena with my finger. That is my preferred way of going in with shimmer shades. And I'm just going to tap that on. Actually, not just tap it. I'm swiping this on across the lid. Essentially over the deeper shade. I am utilizing the shade Pep as like my base shade here. And this is really pretty. I have definitely experienced more impactful multi-chromes, like CLIONADH, for example. I feel like there's a shade that's kind of similar to this that's like a little bit more blingy. But I think Natasha's approach is different than CLIONADH's approach, and it just really depends on your personal preference. Like, it's not necessarily bad or good, because I do think there is a market for people that want a multi-chrome, but they don't necessarily want one that's extra blingy, as it were. I don't know if that makes sense, but some people don't necessarily want like the, you know, really like intense bold pigment from a multi-chrome. They want something more subtle. And Natasha definitely caters to that market. So I'm going to go in with a pencil brush, and this time I'm going to go in with this shade Flashover. And this one's like, it feels a little bit creamier. Yeah, it even feels creamier on the brush. I'm going to just blend this on the bottom lid. That's a really nice shade. And you guys know I can't resist an inner corner shade shimmer. So I'm going to take this shade Push, and I'm gonna put that right here. I want to see how that looks with next to Phenomena, just to lighten up that inner corner a little bit. I like to put something a little brighter in this area of my eye, just because they are a little bit deeper set at that point. And sometimes when I don't have like makeup or concealer on to brighten this area, because they're a little bit deeper set, I get questions like, are you sick? Are you okay? So anyway, guys, I'm going to be back. I'm going to do liner and lashes just so you can see how these looks have come together. I'm going to finish my face and I will be back. Okay, friends, I am back. These are the two looks that I did with the I Need a Warm palette. So as you can see, for this look, I just went in with a matte base and did the duochrome shade. I think this looks really, really beautiful. It was very, very easy. And then on this side, I did a little bit more with the brighter shimmers. So you can get different looks with this palette. You can get some versatility with this palette. It is not the most groundbreaking palette in the world, but if you enjoy Natasha Denona's formulas, I think it's a really nice one to keep in your arsenal. So while I have you guys, I'm going to pull out a couple of other Natasha Denona palettes that I think might have some similar shades. And if you have these in your collection, it might be worth going through and seeing if you already have these shades or something similar before making this purchase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hold up a couple of other Natasha Denona palettes that I think are comparable in terms of mood and vibe, and maybe not exactly the exact same color story or dupes, but palettes that are in Natasha's lineup that you might already have, that if you are not getting enough use out of them, maybe you don't need this one. I don't know. So the first one is the I Need a Nude palette. And these guys look really, really close. I will say like the I Need a Nude is like a little bit more on the pinky side. And yes, I have a shade missing. I did a wedding and I popped out the shade Mia, which is like a pink. I don't think that we're missing much here in terms of comparisons. Mia is like a very light pink sparkly shade, so there's nothing in here that is comparable to Mia, but if you could look, the energy is the same. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense, but if we were going to go off of pure vibes, like there's some similar vibes here. Maybe you won't get the exact same looks, but I think you could get like a comparable vibe. I Need a Nude is a little bit cooler tone. Naturally, of course, this is intended to be like a warmer palette. So I would have to say in terms of shades that are similar, maybe some of the mattes in here, but yeah, they're unique. They're unique, but I would say vibes. Going off of vibes, similar vibes, not necessarily the same tones. Next up, we have I'm going to pull out the bronze palette for you guys. So you could see like the bronze palette. If you have this, I would say I don't know that you necessarily need the I Need a Warm palette. The bronze is perfect if you have deeper skin because you have deeper mattes. You have the shades Deep Dive and Rhodium, which are really, really nice for grounding the look. So I would just say if you were feeling like this did not go deep enough, you might want to consider bronze because it does have like those deeper shimmers and the deeper mattes that I think would be very complementary to deeper skin tones. And then finally, just for comparison's sake, We have the gold palette, which I will admit, like, I haven't really pulled this out. Again, going off of the vibes, like, you could get a similar vibe, but this is definitely warmer. This is definitely more gold. I appreciate how there's nuance here. I think if these look very similar to you, that is fine. But like for me, as somebody who like looks at a lot of makeup, like I can definitely see like the nuance. And I think that's what drives some people crazy when they see all these releases, because they're like, well, she's like releasing the same palette. I think Natasha Denona's artistry mind thinks of these other details as well and thinks to herself, and like, not that I know what she's thinking, but you know, oh, if I could just tweak a little bit and do a little bit more nuance in one direction or the other. And I think that's how sometimes we end up with these similar but different releases. I hope that that makes sense. It makes sense in my mind when I'm thinking about these things. But this is the golden palette, and then we have I Need a Nude. So I don't know that you necessarily need both. And then another thing to consider too is like the backgrounds are a little bit different. Do you see that? So I feel like that can also impact how a palette is perceived. But even so, I do think that the shades are different enough. There's not really, in my mind, like enough duping happening for it to be like the exact same palette. But I would say if you have some of those in your collection and you're on the fence about this one, I wouldn't rush out and get it, because I don't think that you are necessarily going to be missing out on anything groundbreaking. The one duochrome that is in this palette, there are plenty of indie brands out there that do them a little bit more impactfully if that is what you were looking for. Sometimes people want more subtlety. Overall, I think this is a really nice everyday palette for fall. I love how easy it was to come up with just these two looks. Like it was almost like, you know, dummy proof. And I think that's why Natasha Denona's neutral themed palettes are so popular, because it's easy to get a look that looks really put together, sophisticated, and chic. I know some people are critical because they feel like, oh, she needs to put out like something more groundbreaking, more colorful. But I think her major customer base is not necessarily looking for that. I think that those voices calling for something different and innovative are people who are probably a little bit more niche, more in deep in the makeup space. And so we have seen everything. So if I were an everyday person, like if I were to tell my girlfriends who are looking for a palette what to get, this is what I would tell them to get. If they were looking for something to take to wear to work, or to even wear to one of their special events or something like that, because it's easy to work with. It's not, there's no learning curve here. You literally can take a matte and a shimmer and do your mascara and like be done and feel good about the look that you can get. And I think that that is the point. That is the point here. So Natasha does have some other fun and more funky color stories. She had Xenon. She had the mini blue palette that had come out. So she has plenty of that as well if you're looking for that. But I think that this is a really nice option, and I think the shade Phenomena is a really fun, special shade for everyday special fun. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this palette. I would love to know what you guys think. So please make sure to like this video if you enjoy content like this. Please leave me a comment. I love hearing from you guys in the comments. And if you would be so kind as to subscribe to my channel, I would love to have you join my little corner of the internet where we hang out and we chat about makeup. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. I appreciate you so much. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!